Thank you all for being here today, and thank you. Can you hear me? Because I can do my teacher voice too. So I was just trying not to scream like I usually do. Thank you to the International Sculpture Center and to Director Johannah Hutchison for this major acknowledgement of such an important part of my life. I can honestly say I'm a bit overwhelmed, and I'm obviously a bit weepy, so that's why I have all these notes here. Before I start my list of thank yous, I wanted to share, I don't know if this is a coincidence, but I'd been thinking about what I wanted to say tonight, and this past Sunday, I ended up having dinner with a former student, Florence Rosen, who I'd worked with both at Cal State Fullerton when I was a visiting artist there in '86, '87, and then a few years later when she had gone to graduate school at Claremont. Florence just turned 91 this year, and she's embracing her last years in full force. She's still doing her work and is at it every day in front of her computer now. I hadn't seen her in a long time, but we'd always had this very instant, intimate rapport, and Sunday we picked up right where we left off. She began by mentioning something that I had said to her 25 years ago in the seminar class at Claremont. And then I was reminded how you can put an idea out there and you never know how it shows up or where it shows up again, or how it takes hold of somebody. We talked about her current work and her late husband. I spoke about my mother who died in 2008, my husband's heart surgery, the difference between being alone and being lonely, difficulties we've overcome. She's practicing, she's 91, and she's practicing to be more accepting of compliments and stop apologizing all the time. Understanding as women, we deflect positive things so often and apologize way too much. I agreed. She said, "It's what girls learn to do, Coleen." When I told her about tonight's event, she reminded me that my mother would be very proud of me. So, I left thinking about my mother and my grandmother, both very creative women. Neither one of them would have ever thought of themselves as being creative. They didn't have that voice telling them how smart they were and how talented they were, or that perhaps they could be an architect or an interior designer, or any number of possibilities other than the preordained things that were in front of them. They didn't have someone prodding them and encouraging them to go further. I was fortunate, very fortunate, that both of my parents encouraged me to do whatever I wanted to do. My father is here tonight with his lovely wife, Bonnie, and I just should say thank you, Dad, for giving me that gift of being able to think I could do whatever I wanted. Teaching is a really curious process. Attention, trust, acknowledgement, honesty. I see this award as an acknowledgement of me being a good prodder, a good advocate, a good sharer of information. Hopefully the positive voice in your head when you're working. People share when they feel a connection, especially when they have an emotional connection with someone. This award is really a reflection of the deeply personal connections and relationships that I've made over the last 35 years. The affinity, the rapport, the affection that we have for each other, and for the bond that we share over the love of what we do. So, my thank yous. Again, thank you to Johannah and the International Sculpture Center. Thank you to my former students and dearest friends, Luis Moreno and Mariah Kuhl, who who nominated me for the award, as well as my dearest soul sister, Julia Cousins, an artist who's here tonight. Our connections are very deep and forever. And thank you to the 3 official recommenders whose names that I had to provide to the ISC, Ann Mitchell, Haven Lynn Kirk, the Dean of the Roski School of Design at USC, both of whom were studying at Claremont when I taught there, and Charles Long, who Johannah mentioned, who's the head of sculpture at Riverside. Your friendship and support mean a great deal to me. And to my teaching colleagues and friends and former students who wrote letters on my behalf, my dearest Adam Teraoka, the sculpture program would not be the same without you being here. Stas Orlovsky, Terry Friedman, Jacqueline Hartog, Rochelle Vitello, Kristen Key, Noah Thomas, Linda King, Zhao Win, Laura Goebel, Kathy Allen. And a thank you to my dear artist friend Roland Reese, who was my colleague at Claremont and a teaching hero of mine. And the entire VMA faculty, especially Kristen Beeler, as she has introduced me to small scale in a big way. That's right, tiny scale. And thank you to the fabulous Dr. Lisa Orr for this event. And to members of our staff, Esther Contreras, Pelesi Smith, Jade Adams, Stacy Toda, and Camille Boughton. There's so many others that I'm sure I don't remember. As you know, or as Johannah mentioned, I have been teaching for a very long time, or probably my whole life, as I've been the bossy older sister. I've held positions at some really great places, Claremont Graduate School, Otis College of Art and Design, USC, Cal State Fullerton, before coming here in 1998 as a full-time professor. When I took the position here, I was 45. My art sales were getting thin, and I needed a full-time job. My ego was extremely wrapped up in the institutions that I had been teaching at, and so there's no way I thought I would stay around here to teach kids how to mix plaster and make molds. So at this point, I need to thank my dear friend Larry White, who brought together an amazing group of artist educators during his tenure as department chair here, creating a dynamic, supportive environment that was free of the kind of negative academic politics that I had previously experienced in these other places. It was an environment that made me want to stay here. That and these amazing students who I have come to believe somehow belong to me. Perhaps because I was older and more aware of what was behind me, it was here that I discovered how much teaching meant to me and how effective art making can be in overtly changing someone's life. It has been my experience that the community college teaching is an under-recognized gold mine of beautiful, creative, talented people who bring a microcosm of the world in all its joy and tragedy into the classroom. This place and these people are a reflection of my personal politics and beliefs, and it's really a gift that I gave to myself that I stayed here. I really believe that I ended up in the place that I was meant to be, that I really belong here. These beautiful young artists have inspired me tremendously through their hard work, their tenacity, and their perseverance. And their success belongs to them and them alone. I told this to Florence on Sunday night, and she said that it sounded like being in church, in the sense that it was a divine experience. And it truly has been, because it's been about love and commitment on so many levels. Lastly, a resounding thank you to my guy, my person, my husband, Michael Riley. Thank you for giving me the space that I need to do what I do, and always without questions. Thank you all from the